$100 million in jury verdicts and settlements for serious injury victims, medical malpractice victims, and surviving family members of wrongful death victims. Trial Lawyers for Justice. This is a firm that does not handle frivolous lawsuits. They go after insurance company money, and they're darn good at it. They don't sell their clients out or settle cheaply. Trial Lawyers for Justice, the firm that goes the distance for you, their client. They treat their clients the way you would want your own family members taken care of. Nicholas Rowley, Dominic Pachota, and the other trial lawyers in the firm at Trial Lawyers for Justice, dedicated to representing the people and their families in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Wyoming, and many other states. Trial Lawyers for Justice. $100 million in settlements and jury verdicts already in 2016. 888-811-0844. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but we've got two really big events back-to-back, actually three. Waste Management Open, sandwiched between the Super Bowl 51 in Houston with the economic impact of $500 million. And I'm in L.A. for the All-Star Weekend, not just any All-Star Weekend. It's the 100th anniversary of the NHL, an economic impact nowhere near the Super Bowl. NHL, Gary Bettman, will have him on in a couple of weeks to give us his opinion of what's happening with his business. But franchise value is skyrocketing. Vegas starts this next year at $500 million of franchise price. The revenues were about $400 million when he took over, by the way, February 1, 1993. He is the longest-standing commissioner of any major sports league. Labor peace is hard to earn, and after 3 walkouts, lockout strikes, he's got it. One of the longest labor peace deals in the history of Major League Sports. USA Hockey, about 365,000 youth programs, which means TV, a great deal with over $5.3 billion from Rogers and even bigger from NBC. Waste Management Open next week in Phoenix, one of the biggest tournaments. If you don't think so, hang around the 16th hole. And then segueing into Houston. Remember, when the first Super Bowl was held, NBC and CBS simultaneous transmission of the game, $42,000 for a 30-second ad. Guess what it is today? Over $5 million. Heinz, by the way, in a late flash, has introduced a resolution, PR-driven nonetheless, that wants to make Super Bowl Monday a federal holiday. Well, nobody really wants to work on Super Bowl Monday anyway, so the bottom line is it's a great idea, and there's no other sporting event in the world that can merit the discussion of having a federal holiday. There you have it. We have a couple of guests that'll talk from a different perspective. On NHL, we have Sean Henry, the president of the Nashville Predators, talking about what his deal was last year, putting on a world-class event, All-Star game, in the Sun Belt in Nashville a year earlier than today. And then Rolf Benirschke, the all-pro kicker for the San Diego Chargers, who almost died because of Crohn's disease and made a comeback. He'll talk about what went wrong when the Chargers move up the coast to be the L.A. Chargers. A lot going on. Rick Horrow, sports professor. Be back in a couple of minutes.
When a belt drive blows out at 3 in the morning, who's got your back? Granger's got your back. When you need safety products to help prevent job site injuries, Granger's got your back. When you need to keep a business running, or a facility, or a school, or a factory, Granger's got your back. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, Granger's got your back. I love Granger. You know why? Because Granger's got my back. Call, click Granger.com, or stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done. When you need to keep a business running, or a school, or a bakery, or an HVAC shop, or an auto body garage, a cleaning service, a locksmith, a contractor, a property management company, a restaurant, a grocery store, a dry cleaner, a hotel, a moving company, a hospital, or pretty much anything. You want Granger. Granger has the products and solutions to help a growing business succeed. Whatever you need, whenever you need it. Granger's got your back. Call, click Granger.com, or stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
when it's time to get busy on Valentine's Day. Celebrate your date the Trojan way. We got condoms galore, and that's for sure. Grab some when you step out to the store. Bearskin, Magnum, ends, whatever. As long as you're wearing one when you're together, just wrap it up, wrap it up. On Valentine's Day, make sure you wrap it up.
Wrap it up this Valentine's Day with Trojan condoms. Available now at your local retailer. Trojan, America's #1 most trusted condom brand.
Wrap it up, wrap it up.
Trojan.
Are you a business owner or an individual who owes the IRS? Then be prepared to write down an important phone number. Do you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes? Do you need to file back tax returns? Are you dealing with bank levies and wage garnishments? It's time to deal with your IRS problem today. Call Certified Tax Representation now. Certified Tax Representation, Inc. represents clients just like you in all 50 states. They will contact the IRS on your behalf the same day that you become a client, and you can become a client immediately. It's time for you to face your IRS problems. Think about how great you're going to feel when you're represented by a company who's an advocate for you, who knows the law, who also will contact the IRS the same day you become a client. Call today for your free, no-obligation consultation. Call now, 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064. Not all cases are typical, and some may not qualify. The consultation is free, and so is the call, so call right now. 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064. Do
you love pizza? Because if you love pizza, the 10 any pizza deal from Pizza Hut is the biggest no-brainer in the history of the world. You can carry out a large pizza, any toppings, anytime, for just $10. Even a large pan meat lovers, or pepperoni lovers, or whatever toppings you love. They're all $10. The 10 any pizza deal, because no one out-pizzas the Hut. Ask for this offer. Additional charge for extra cheese and stuffed crust. Product availability, prices, and participation may vary.
Rick Horrow, sports professor. Rolf Benirschke had an illustrious 10-year career as place kicker for the San Diego Chargers, retiring as the third most accurate kicker in NFL history. Intestinal illness requiring major abdominal surgery nearly cost him his life, but he became the 20th player inducted into the Chargers Hall of Fame, and he won the NFL's most prestigious Byron Wizard White Award as the association's Hero of the Year. He clearly deserves it. Rolf Benirschke about life, the Chargers moving to L.A., what it's like overcoming a disease, and his charity work. Here he is now. Sports professor Rick Horrow, keeping score, beyond the box score, in the boardroom. You know, you call this different names, but we've interviewed commissioners and we've interviewed team owners and agents and players, and that's all significant in their own way. They all stuck to what they needed to do. They were very successful. I am pleased and honored. I've been excited about this interview for a while, since my executive vice president, Carlos Swadek, set this up for me. And we have somebody who had a 10-year career as a place kicker, third most accurate kicker in NFL history with the Chargers, Pro Bowl, Comeback Player of the Year, Wizard White Award, Chargers Hall of Fame. Broke my damn heart as a Dolphin fan a number of times, but he did miss a couple, but he made many, many more, and that's maybe 5% of what his life is all about. Rolf Benirschke, how's that for a beginning of an introduction?
Well, Rick, thanks for having me on. That's only a part of my life. I was raised in a medical family. My dad was a medical school professor at Dartmouth, and then where I grew up, and was a hockey player and skier and tennis player. And then he moved us to San Diego without asking us kids, because he was invited to join this really turned-on research department at UCSD, a fledgling medical school. And that changed my life in every way. And I'm still trying to earn his respect after having spent 10 years in the league. When are you going to do something? I've had to carry that with me, but it's funny how it works out.
Well, but the bottom line is that you were probably the smartest guy in the room in most places other than at Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. And it is interesting as you move west, because you have much more of a perspective than just a kicker. And clearly that is a piece of this that is a relatively small piece. So let's lead with the bigger piece. Obviously, you were very sick for a very long period of time and inspired one of the great comebacks. You created great comebacks. You wrote Alive and Kicking. Tell us a little about the biggest valley in your life and how you turned it into a peak.
Yeah, so I was one of those reluctant athletes. We were sort of teasing, but I did grow up in this academic medical family and ended up going to Davis, UC Davis, to study zoology, having turned down scholarship opportunities to kick at really major institutions. When I went to my dad and said, they want me to go to USC to kick, and Dad was an immigrant and very involved in academics. He said, that's not why I go to college. And, of course, I didn't know if I was really good or not. I just played my senior year in high school. And so I chose Davis, didn't sign up to play football. And funny story, I get called a week into my classes, and it was the head football coach there. And he goes, I was just berated by the coach at SC suggesting I'm paying players to come to Davis. What are you doing up there? And, of course, the coach at Davis at the time, Jim Soker, who was legendary, became an extraordinary coach, set an NCAA record, 20 straight conference championships, but was relatively new at the time. Said, of course we don't, pay players because we don't even give scholarships. But who are you talking about? And the coach at SC, well, we recruited this kicker, and he chose Davis over SC. Surely you must be doing something illegal. And Jim Soker, smart guy, said, well, what's his name? And got my name and tracked me down and actually talked me into playing football and really changed my life in every way. But where my life became significant, I think, in the question you're asking, is that I ended up with the Chargers, and in my second season was diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease, originally Crohn's disease, and several surgeries later, ulcerative colitis. But it was right at the beginning of my second season. This is 1978, and as you know, football is a violent sport, and I'm a kicker, so hardly a football player. And for all intents and purposes, I had, a stomach ache with diarrhea, and guys around me are tearing knees and shoulders and getting concussed. And so I kind of kept my head down and did the best I could to get through the season. But by the last month of the season, I was literally playing the game on Sunday. Sunday night, they would take me to a hospital, put a central IV line in my neck. I'd kind of be there all week, couldn't eat anything. They'd pull it out. I'd go to the team meeting on Saturday night, play the game on Sunday, and then resume that process again Sunday night at the hospital. So it was a brutal time. We didn't know much about inflammatory bowel disease. The treatments were not very good. We finished the season. Our team was just getting good, and as you know, there's only one kicker. You're either starting or unemployed, and I didn't want to be unemployed. I loved what I was doing. Our team was good. There was an extraordinary connection with the community. This was when Don Coryell was our head coach, and Dan Fouts was the quarterback, and we had players like Kellen Winslow and Charlie Joyner and Chuck Muncie, and we're kind of rewriting offensive playbooks and scoring sheets. And as a kicker, I got a lot of chances to participate, so I loved it. Tried to come back in my third season and collapsed on a team flight on the way home. My colon had started to perforate. They landed the plane. I had an emergency surgery, and there were complications. I had a second surgery 6 days later. I'm now 65 pounds below my weight, and in the same hospital where my dad is working, they're basically coming to him after the surgery saying, we're not sure your son's going to survive the night. I was septic. I woke up with 2 ostomy bags on my side and would spend almost 6 weeks in intensive care unit, and just extraordinarily lucky. I got great medical care there to live. And then I woke up and say, why did I live? I think I would have preferred to die, because in my mind, there was no reason to live. I assumed because of the condition I was in with these ostomy appliances on my side, I couldn't play the sports I loved. I was a tennis player and a skier and a hockey player and a scuba diver. I think I'll never do that. I'm making my living as a professional football player. Nobody's ever played with an ostomy. I'm sure I'm never doing that. And I was single at the time, 24. And I like girls, and I'm going, I'm sure never doing that again. Why didn't I just die? And I went through a really difficult time and was extraordinarily lucky to discover that all those fears actually didn't happen. I could end up playing all those things, return to play 7 more years, and 4 of those with ostomy bags. I would have subsequent surgeries to get rid of them. And I'm now married just to a stunning gal. We've been married for 28 years and love my life. So I'm an extraordinarily lucky guy, Rick.
It's an incredible story, but for you beating the Dolphins in, 84? That's an entirely different issue that we can talk about some other time. I will tell you, without too much levity in it, you make the rest of listening to athletes and how they complain, some about dollars, some about other things. The world that you had to survive was just absolutely incredible. So we'll get back to football in a few minutes. So off of that, and once you realize that you had a 10-year career and you had a platform and a pulpit, tell me about Legacy Health Strategies, what it is, how you founded it, and what you're doing.
Yeah, well, the first thing, I had an agent back then named Lee Steinberg, who was really a revolutionary guy who was an idealist, and I was a brand new client of his, and he was brand new in the business, and we were both pretty idealistic, but he made me appreciate that I had a platform now as an athlete, and my passion was wildlife. I had spent a summer living in South Africa after my senior year in high school. I was involved where they saved the white rhino on rhino capture, darting white rhinos. I mean, it's just right out of the movies, really. And in the off seasons in college, I worked at the San Diego Zoo in the research department there. And even when I was playing football, I was involved with the zoo. In fact, created a program called Kicks for Critters, where for every field goal I kicked, I donated to the research center at the zoo and raised awareness of endangered species and got the community to do it. And way back then, we raised $1.5 million.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
Hey there, travelers. You going somewhere? Need a hotel? Then call Hotel Wiz anytime, day or night, for rates too low to publish. You can save up to 75% on over 500,000 hotels across the globe and get our best price guarantee with no booking or cancellation fees ever. We've got some of the lowest hotel prices you'll find in New York, Chicago, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and a lot more. Don't waste your time surfing for deals. Make a free call right now and find deals too low to publish. Save up to 75% right now with no cancellation fees. And to make it even easier on you, we're here 24/7 to help. So call right now. Bookmark us in your cell phone. Whatever you need to do, just pick up the phone and call this number for hotel deals that'll knock your socks off.
800-507-3777. 800-507-3777. 800-507-3777. 800-507-3777. Do you have an old car sitting in your driveway? How would you like to learn a hassle-free way to get rid of it, help kids in need, and get a great tax donation in the process? It's real easy. One simple free call to our car donation hotline is all it takes. Call the Neshama Foundation at 800-760-4895, 800-760-4895. We'll come pick your car up for free and give you a tax donation for the full value of the car, running or not. The value of your unwanted car will go to help kids in need. It's fast and easy. Just call us and your car will be gone and on its way to helping children in 48 hours. And you get a nice tax deduction. Call the Neshama Foundation now to get rid of your car, help kids, and get a tax write-off. Call 800-760-4895, 800-760-4895, 800-760-4895. That's 800-760-4895.
Rick Recaro sports professor Rolf Benersch, the Chargers moving to L.A., what it's like overcoming a disease, and his charity work. Here he is now.
Oftentimes, especially the first couple of years back, the sports writer would write in the area where we were going to play, Denver, Dallas, Seattle, about what I had gone through. And wherever that letter appeared, or that article appeared, patients or family members of patients would read it, and I would come back to the locker room the next week, and there'd be 50 letters in my locker. Rolf Benerschka, usually misspelled, San Diego Chargers, San Diego, California, and the letters would almost all be the same. Dear Rolf, how can you play football with an ostomy? I'm trying to. And it was like a fill in the blank. Go to school. Go to work. Be a dad. And I was the beneficiary of a brand new technology, brand new company. And so I reached out to them and said, we need to do something. I'm getting all these letters. Nobody's talking about it. It's the quintessential closet illness. And so created for them a program called Great Comebacks, which was a way for patients to share their stories about what they were doing after their ostomy surgery. And we discovered that this restrictive lifestyle that we all thought we would live in when you're lying there in the hospital bed saying, I'd rather die than live with a bag, just wasn't true. I mean, we found police officers that returned to the force, firefighters, triathletes. We have a guy that climbed Mount Everest with an ileostomy bag. The first call I get, almost two weeks after launching the program, was from a nurse in Denver. She goes, I don't really like you. I'm a Broncos fan, but I have a professional golfer in my hospital bed who says he would rather die than live with a bag. Can you call him? And I said, of course, who is it? And it was Al Geiberger. So that was the beginning. We literally have connected with thousands of ostomy patients and provided them hope and inspiration that this was not the end of their life, but really a second chance at their life, and we all live it a little differently and with a little more gratitude having gone through this.
Well, very clearly you have everybody talks about role models and athletes as role models. What's your reaction from a emotional perspective, but this is a business show, to the Charles Barkleys of the world who claim that an athlete's not a role model and it's up to each individual to figure it out themselves, or stated more positively, what's your view of the obligation of a professional athlete who has played? Should he give back? Does he have to give back? What's your feeling about that?
Yeah, I have pretty strong opinions about it. I think by default we are. I think we're in the news. We get all the privileges of the coverage that goes on. And so I think you abdicate your responsibility if you say, I don't have to be a role model. I think we clearly recognize that what we say and do is reported. And so with that comes an obligation and a responsibility to use that wisely. Now, I can't speak for everybody else. I just think we have an extraordinary opportunity to play a sport for that we love and get paid for it, and the opportunity to do real good with it. And why wouldn't you? With the intentionality that you can do extraordinary good that will change your life. I mean, not only do you do good for others, but you get so much back. I mean, it is humbling for me to hear from a patient who's really struggling and to be able to reach out, write them a letter, call them, send them one of the books that I've written, and then hear from them 6 months later and say, you fundamentally changed my life. And you go, oh, my gosh, that is humbling stuff. And then to get to meet them. I mean, I got to tell you one quick story because this just gives me my hair stand up. I got a call once from an Army Black Hawk helicopter pilot, a 41-year-old guy who loved what he does, served 3 times overseas in Afghanistan and Iraq, and was so qualified he was a teacher of how to fly these Black Hawk helicopters. Well, he writes me and says, I went through this difficult time. I had ulcerative colitis, got working worse and worse, began to have accidents in my flight suit. Can you help me? And so I reached out and I said, absolutely. And he tells me the rest of the story. He goes, I had to go to the physician, the military physician. They said, you need surgery. You're going to end up with an ileostomy bag. And the regulations say we have to, waive you out of the military, discharge you, honorary discharge. And he goes to the guy, I knew you would say that, but would you please read one of these books? and it was one of our books, Great Comebacks from Ostomy Surgery. So the guy reads it, invites the pilot back in a week later and says, if these guys can do all these things, play professional golf, play professional football, do triathlons, go back to the firefighting force, President Bush's youngest brother has an ostomy, why can't you fly Blackhawks again? And he goes, well, I can. So the military examiner says, well, come back after you recover from your surgery. The guy comes back. They put him through all his physical tests, and the physician waves him back into the military, and he resumes his career. And a year later, he sends me a flag from Afghanistan flown over his camp on one of his Black Hawk helicopters to thank me for what I had done. And it's just not me, but it's what we had done with our program. And I'm with him, a friend of his today, called me out of the blue from Saudi Arabia. He's a contractor now in Saudi Arabia. I mean, it gave this guy his life back. And, I hear that several times a week. I mean, that's heady stuff to be able to do that.
Yeah. And also it's not just being in a position to do good, but it's actually doing good, and you're there, and you've done it. And it kind of leads me to my almost final question, and we could do this for hours, and it's you are an inspiration. What's it like? You live in Del Mar, obviously, and you're going to see the team pack up the moving vans and go up the coast. And we don't have to get into did the Spanos family do all they could to do a stadium in L.A. in Mission Valley in San Diego. That's for another show. But what is it? What is the team? What did the team mean to San Diego? How do you feel about, let's say, from an emotional perspective, the team packing up and moving to L.A.?
Well, it's a question with a lot of tentacles, but I'll tell you. First of all, I'm a hugely biased fan because I played for the team. They changed my life. They gave me extraordinary opportunities, and I watched this city love this team unconditionally. So my feeling about it in general is that the owners think they own the team, but the community believes they own the team, and that the physical owners are really just stewards. And so when a team moves, the fans feel just incredibly violated, and that's the case here. The impact that's not measured is all of the things that happen when a community gets touched by a team. The players that are going out and speaking at schools and igniting in a young kid the vision that he might someday be able to do this. The connection a father makes with a son or daughter, bringing them to a game for the first time and establishing a lifelong memory that gets built on as those teams continue to stay there and those kids grow and continue to connect with the team. And then there's the philanthropic aspect. So when I went through my illness, there was a spontaneous response to replace the blood that I used. I needed 80 units of blood, and a secretary at the Chargers saw that, had volunteered once in her life at the blood bank, and so called the radio station that covered our team and said, we need to replace the blood. Radio station in 2 days sent out a little, on-air blurb, and 1,000 people showed up, waited 4 hours to give blood. And then the Chargers and the blood bank got together and for 38 years have held the Chargers blood drive. And annually, it's the largest collection of blood in the country. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. And it comes the week before Thanksgiving at a time when the blood bank is critically in need of donations. People typically don't donate as the holidays come about, and a lot of elective surgeries are initiated then. So this community connection with the city and the team and the resultant benefactor, the blood bank, and then we actually did the numbers. It's 2 Qualcomm stadiums full of people that have received blood in San Diego from the blood drive. I mean, that's an enormous impact that you really can't measure. But now that goes away, and there are dozens and dozens of those kinds of outreaches that are going to leave the city.
And it's a perspective that you have so many other perspectives, but that one seems to be pretty darn compelling. We just have a minute, and it's a question that I need to ask given where we are with the NFL today. We had a kicker who, Chris Boswell of the Steelers, single-handedly basically win a game with 6 field goals, the most ever in postseason play just recently. And you've had kickers last year miss a 20-yarder in a playoff game against Seattle, albeit with the elements. Obviously, the bigger spotlight on playoff kickers, but your position is unlike any other in the league as far as, or sports, as far as sudden victory and sudden defeat.
The following update is for drivers who pay too much for car insurance due to DUIs, DWIs, tickets, or anything else. By now, you know all too well that SR22 auto insurance is way more than you'd ever want to pay. You probably thought you didn't have a choice, but you were wrong. Our company specializes in low-cost, very affordable SR22 auto insurance for high-risk drivers. We know that mistakes happen, so take pride in being able to offer absolutely free quotes for this very affordable auto insurance meant specifically for you, the overpaying high-risk driver. We're standing by at 800-758-0725. The only thing you need to do is stop waiting around while your monthly payments stay as high as they are. Our knowledgeable representatives are ready for your call at 800-758-0725. The quote is free, and we'll even handle the filings so you could start saving money every month even sooner. Call 800-758-0725. That's 800-758-0725. Once more, 800-758-0725.
If you're 65 or older and suffering from knee pain, you may qualify for an advanced pain-relieving brace. Doctor-approved medical will work with Medicare or insurance benefits to see if you qualify for these knee braces at little or no cost to you. The only way to see if you qualify is to call us. 800-816-0365. Don't let your knee pain get worse. Call now and get free shipping plus a free pedometer. 800-816-0365. 800-816-0365. Little to no cost with full insurance payment, copay, and deductible supply promo subject to qualification while supplies last.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1780. 855-325-1780. That's 855-325-1780.
When it's time to get busy on Valentine's Day, celebrate your date the Trojan way. We got condoms galore, and that's for sure. Grab some when you step out to the store. Bearskin, Magnum, ends, whatever. As long as you're wearing one when you're together, just wrap it up, wrap it up. On Valentine's Day, make sure you wrap it up.
Wrap it up this Valentine's Day with Trojan condoms. Available now at your local retailer. Trojan, America's #1 most trusted condom brand.
Wrap it up, wrap it up.
Trojan.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, trillion-dollar business of sports here at the NHL All-Star Weekend, an incredible festivity that basically celebrates not just the NHL, but Gary Bettman, the business, Los Angeles, Wayne Gretzky, the Sun Belt cities, and how they've been wildly successful as far as hockey is concerned. Maybe not Phoenix, but all of the other ones are. Sean Henry, president of Nashville Predators, was in charge of putting on the NHL All-Star Weekend last year in Nashville, a rousing success. He tells us what it was all about, some of the hurdles he had to overcome in a country music capital of the world, and some of the advantages. Sean Henry.
We have just an absolute treat today because we have had our fill of hockey executives. But this guy's not a hockey executive. This guy is an entrepreneur. He is SUNY New York educated, but he is very practical. And more than that, the guy's been with everybody. He's been with the Lightning hoisting the cup in 2004. He's been an NHL favorite executive. And now the CEO, president, grand poobah of the Nashville Predators, Sean Henry. How's that for an intro?
It's pretty good, but don't say SUNY like I overcame some disease.
Well, but
Mr. Harvard, huh?
Yeah, Mr. Harvard. But you did overcome the fact that it was a fairly pedestrian education. All right, the interview's done. You have survived and thrived, notwithstanding the fact that there are a whole lot of people who have gone to Ivy League schools who feel like they're so arrogant. You use that as an advantage. I bet you use that as an advantage.
Oh, there's no doubt. The commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, right. He's also a SUNY guy.
Wow, okay, very cool.
And we talk about that all the time, that our education is a little different than a lot of people in our similar positions.
Right, and the interesting thing is, apropos to who's done interviews with me before, Gary Bettman and Rob Manfred apparently were together at the Labor Relations School at Cornell. So we talked about how they could have gone to better Ivies or different Ivies, and of course neither one talked to me now as a result. So thank you very much for doing this interview.
That's
very cool. So first let's talk about life in the business. You've been with a couple of organizations, and I guess what they have in common is they're Sun Belt oriented, but you clearly have been diverse in the league since '99?
Yeah, I came in the league in '99. We being the Pistons, bought the Lightning in '99. Mr. Davidson, one of the greatest owners in the history of sports, bought the Pistons in '72. Was really the first man to set up business up around the team and built his own arena, ran them all together as one. The success was the Palace of Auburn Hills, won 2 championships the first 2 years it was open. And I was fortunate enough to go there when I was 21 years old. And that's how I kind of grew up in the business, with a customer, first approach. What can you do for a sponsor? How do you engage with them? How do you leverage the passion of your fans for a brand and continuing forward?
And your life has been a series since then of collections of best practices, I assume. Do you think that it is easier today to run an organization than it was years ago?
Well, I didn't run one years ago, so hard to say. Yeah. But I do think it gets easier, balanced with some difficulties. When I say easier, it's so much you collaborate. You so much more quickly. You see what people are doing. You can reach out and call the Blues and say, what'd you do there? Why? Did it work? Where years ago, you used to have to wait till every Friday, some piece of paper to come out and tell you what people were doing. And a lot of those articles were vanity. Now you get to see what people are doing in real time. You get to connect with them in real time. The negative side of that is all your partners, your sponsors, your performers, everyone also gets to see that and say, why aren't we doing what everyone's doing, and whatever that is?
So between, just short-circuiting or short-cutting for a couple of minutes, between '99 and the 5 years later, you were part of the organization, but the 5 years later was a seminal moment because you won the Stanley Cup in Tampa in '04.
That's right. When we bought the Lightning, I don't know if there was a worse team in all sports. Yeah. Fortunately, we had the Buccaneers in our city and the Rays. We really were 3 of the worst teams in all sports right there in the city.
Have the Buccaneers won a game yet?
I think they've won a couple. Few.
Yeah.
I am a Bucs fan. I am a Titans fan.
Yeah.
But the odd thing that happened is, we linked arms a little bit with the Buccaneers. And we looked at each other, looked at the city, and said, when we're a good team and you're a good team, great things will happen for both of us. The Rays decided to stay on the island that they were on inside of a couple of years. We went from 17 wins that year to the Stanley Cup in just 4 or 5 years. The Buccaneers went from, I think, 3 wins to win the Super Bowl in the same time period. So they won. We won the year later, and it changed what Tampa was. And I've always looked at that as a really nice moment of how do we continue to do that. Because a year later, we had the lockout, wiped out the season. We're defending champs. Everyone always says, what an awful thing to happen. And I always say, well, if you have to do a lockout, having that cup with you for the year is a nice way to do it. But it enabled us, the way we connected with that community, enabled us to ride through that lockout and actually come out of it stronger as a franchise, not just a league, but as a team.
So lockout means that you have to build a lot more to sustain what you have, which is a difficult thing to do in Toronto and Montreal and New York, but an almost impossible thing to do in Tampa. I mean, how do you do it? Yeah, you had the cup, but it had to be more than just here's the cup.
Yeah, and again, it goes down to, I love when people say you're a non-traditional city. They always say that like it's a knock, and I say, thank goodness I'm in a non-traditional city, because it does allow us to do things other teams don't do. You know, there's no legacy. We get to move forward and invent our own legacy. And we built such an incredible bond in Tampa with our fans. We're doing the same thing here, that everything almost supersedes just hockey. And I hate to say that because that's everything that we do. It's the center of it all. But we made the St. Pete Times Forum the busiest building in the country. We beat Madison Square Garden as the busiest venue in America. Coming out of the lockout, we led the league in attendance in Tampa. And we did that because we really built better bonds throughout the lockout. We got in the community more, didn't lay anyone off. We had some salespeople painting walls, but it also showed them what the whole organization was about. So we came out of it in stronger fashion, and we did the same thing here in Nashville. When we went to the lockout, came out of it stronger because, again, we didn't lay anyone off. We had such deep ties to the community already. We had an opportunity to make them even deeper.
The fact that the weather is closer to Tampa than it is to Saskatchewan here in Nashville, we're doing this interview in Nashville, is an obvious issue. But what did you learn from Tampa that made the job here easier when you came here in 2010?
Again, I always go back to the relationship with the city, the public side, your fans, and your partners, meaning your sponsors and suite holders. If you connect with them in a very sincere fashion, very honest about your problems, very honest about how you're going to approach addressing them and where you want to go, build very aggressive goals, get people to buy into them. Our goal here is very simple. Be the best sports franchise built around a Stanley Cup championship team, period. Anything short of that, we didn't succeed. If we achieve one and not the other, we have to keep working. And once we achieve both in the same year, we got to go back to the same blueprint. And, when you do that, and we did it in Tampa, people laughed at us when we rolled that plan out, but then we did it. When we rolled it out here, people laughed at us. But, our chairman, Tom Segrin, he believes in setting aggressive goals and then telling him what you need to achieve them. And even if you fail, you still end up in a higher place than you ever thought you could have been.
One win away from the finals last year, and then who knows what would have happened. And so the bottom line is there's nothing in the future that makes you not believe that you're going to get there again like you did in Tampa.
That's it exactly. I remember our former coach, Barry Trotz, after Tom became chairman, said something that has stuck with me to this day. He said, that man has removed the word no from our vocabulary. And he said, we're the same as every other team. Our goal is to be better than every other team. But let's take every excuse away and move forward. But you're right. You're one win away. You're 2 Game 7s in that first and second round. It builds memories, and that's what's important. We're not quite 20 years old yet. It's important for that kid that's graduating college now. He or she, they don't remember a Predator team not being here. What we need to add to their filing cabinet, if you will, are a lot more memories with their family and friends, and that's what this season's about.
Well, and so CEO December 1, 2015?
December 1, 2000.
Is that right? Is that when you were appointed?
So officially, I think it was January 1st, but we knew this was going to happen the day I took the job in 2010. When Jeff Kogan and I came here together, this was the plan, that Jeff would be here about 5 years, and then I'd replace him if something didn't go awry, and knock on wood. It didn't. Hopefully it won't.
And it won't. And you're just reading all of your material with the bio on it, December 1, 2015, including a really kind of cool picture with you and a growth. Either you lost your razor or you decided to grow a playoff beard at the time. But you looked really good compared to everybody else in that staff. So the bottom line is not too long after that, you have your All-Star game, which is an incredibly successful event with all concerned. Everybody perceived it that way. How easy was it to put on an all-star game in a city that doesn't have hockey roots that go back 500 years?
For us, it's easy because Nashville's a big event town.
Sure.
It really is. But for us, the importance of getting the All-Star game was to engage with this entire community and not just serve the 17,000 people that would be inside enjoying the skills or the All-Star game. Not have everything cloistered in a convention center where only a handful of people could see things, but blow it out, open it up, and we defied the weather. We told Mother Nature, we're coming after you. And we did 35 concerts outside, had 20, 30, 40,000 people enjoying them outside, outdoor skating rink, outdoor park. And really, we told Nashville, this is yours. This is a great league. Come experience the 100 years of history. Be part of it. And the goal is to reach a few people that haven't been to a game yet by showing them entertainment. And we were lucky. We had 8 inches of snow the week before the All-Star game. And then it was about 65 degrees the whole week of.
And you intimidated Mother Nature, and she went away, basically.
She backed down. She saw that big slap shot coming, and she got out of the way. But, even the storyline, we reinvented the game with Gary and the other owners and the players and went to the 3-on-3 tournament to almost, solidify where we were. We always said, it's such a great weekend that sometimes the game, because the sheer nature of our game doesn't allow for a very competitive All-Star game or what people are used to. Going to a 3-on-3 tournament, the players really, really cared. They had fun with it. And then the storyline with John Scott really allowed people to leave here thinking, wow, that was incredible.
And the best swag in the business, I know you gave away little guitars welcoming people to Nashville, and every owner to this day talks about that positively.
It's fun. When you have Gibson in your backyard and Jack Daniels in your backyard, you can do some pretty cool things, and they were all over it, and that's what was fun.
Yeah. Just a couple more, obviously. The whole idea of sports and entertainment is important in certain cities, very important to you. So Dierks Bentley was involved in the All-Star game. I know that there was a whole lot of discussion early on about the logo and country music and all. How important is that going forward?
Oh, it's everything. When the franchise got here almost 20 years ago, we knew we had to interplay with music. It's the music city. What we never thought then, and I'm shocked every day by it, are the sheer volume of stars that are in our building for every single event, every hockey game. We have a row of suites. You have CAA, William Morris, Reba McEntire, Carrie Underwood, all suites right next to each other. So on any given night, you'll have 8, 10, 12, 15 Grammy winners, watching our game. And then in our crowd, you have so many different legends of music, and not just country, but all levels. You look at our interactions, our video stand-ups, from Alice Cooper to Vince Gill. Everyone plays off of what they do. Tim McGraw celebrates our goal song, along with so many. It's just a fun experience. And at every intermission, a concert breaks out on our stage.
Well, and it helps. The Bridgestone Arena certainly helps, and your management relationship with them, too. 2 quickies. Finally, youth hockey, the Industry Growth Fund, the NHL, really happy to kind of target Nashville as one of those cities to grow youth hockey. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, when we built our first rink 2 years ago, I guess it's been, knowing that the IGF was kind of on the horizon or hoping. And, again, when that came about, it really solidifies what we talk about, the partnership with the players and the owners and teams. This brings it to a whole new level where we have kids skating that never thought about it before. We're outfitting kids, from get out and learn programs to learn to skate to learn to play, where we're taking the dollar obstacle away from kids, taking that excuse away, and introducing this great game to a whole generation that never would have played before. And we're on the verge of announcing a couple of new rink constructions, which is really exciting. We have ideally, we're going to build 10 new rinks in the next 5, 6, 8, 10 years throughout the state to continue to do what we do, because we're not in Saskatchewan.
Right.
We need to make our own ice.
And, again, impact all over Tennessee. Finally, what's next for Sean Henry?
Well, hopefully we hit that ultimate goal, and that's the #1 venue in America, which we are already the ranking one. Polestar has nominated us again. We are the reigning Arena of the Year, but that means nothing if we don't win the Cup, and just keep pushing forward for that. And in the end, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, 10 years from now on, our fans and our partners, and most importantly, the city, to look back at what we built and say, wow, look at what we did. They said they were going to do it. They did it. And that's all you want, people to understand and respect your goal.
Well, Sean Henry has a really interesting perspective, as you heard. He talks about putting on a world-class event in a town that has the ability to put on world-class events, but they've previously been related to country music. Now it's hockey. Bottom line is, it's all the same, and he did it very successfully.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply, subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Clapper, Chief of Orthopedic Surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Group in Los Angeles, California. Dedicated to your health, your life, and your sports. As a weekend warrior, you know about sports injuries and pain. Exercise is an important element in keeping your body's core in good shape to minimize sports injuries. But when you are in pain, there is one product that I recommend to my patients, and that is Blue Goo Gel. Blue Goo consists of a proprietary formula developed specifically for the treatment of inflammation and general muscle aches and strains. I recommend Blue Goo for my patients coping with hip and knee pain before surgery, especially bursitis and tendinitis. Give Blue Goo a try. Call 1-888-330-0123 and you'll receive a 1-week supply of Blue Goo absolutely free. The makers of Blue Goo are even paying the shipping. The number again is 1-888-330-0123. If you want more information on Blue Goo, visit online at www.dothegoo.com.
Now available at select Big 5 stores near you.
When you struggle with credit card bills every month, you're not just in debt. Debt is all around you.
I see people every day that are on the brink. They're going to go over the edge, and at the bottom is bankruptcy, and we pull them back.
At the Debt Helpline, we're experts at helping you resolve your debt problems and become free of debt. We can help you pay off your debt and give you one lower monthly payment that you can afford.
You do get to consolidate your payments. You only have to worry about making one payment a month instead of making 3 or 4 or 5.
If you have $5,000, $10,000 or more in credit card bills, call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063. 800-957-6063. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-957-6063. 800-957-6063.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, live from Los Angeles for the 100th anniversary celebration of the NHL. Then on to the Super Bowl. Time for Bust, Boom, and Hope. First, Bust. There's no doubt regarding the prestige and honor associated with attending a U.S. Service Academy, but many prospective student-athletes steered away from them throughout the years due to their post-grad service requirement. Last spring, dropping the minimum of the 2-year post-grad active duty requirement changed the game for them. Army, really good this year. Navy, good every year. Not everybody jumping for joy, though. Many traditionalists at the academies firmly believe that all graduates should serve regardless of their athletic ability. Ironically, on the field, Army and Navy continues to show results, but it's clearly hard to maintain a consistent and stable quality program on the field, and certainly the controversy is an issue. How about Boom? Well, despite not winning a single major this last year, Rory McIlroy finishes the top-paid golfer last year. $50 million, placing him atop golf's rich list for the first time. He amassed a fortune in 1 year thanks to no small part to winning the Tour's FedEx Cup and the $10 million bonus that comes with it. His on-course earnings about $17.5. His off-course earnings are what separated him from the pack. Sponsorship deals like Nike, Omega, Bose Electronic Arts. McIlroy's off-course earnings amount to approximately $32.5 million. Remarkably, Arnold Palmer earned more than anyone else in the game other than McIlroy in the year that he died at 87, $40 million, thanks to his portfolio of golf businesses and his own brand of iced tea. We'll remember Arnold Palmer. And then finally, hope. Wayne Gretzky won't be the only sports greatest of all time in Southern California this last weekend. Obviously, Tiger Woods continues to play. 22 million viewers the tournament enjoyed last year, expecting double as far as television is concerned. But here's his big deal. The partner charity Boys to Men Mentoring, a local program for fatherless teenage boys, again, the opportunity to break the world record for the number of surfers on one wave during One Wave Challenge. No matter what, it's charity, it's dollars, and it's really significant. Well, that's our show for today. We'd like to thank Ralph Benershka for his perspective and his worldliness. And we'd like to thank Sean Henry for reminding us how important it is to put on a successful All-Star weekend. Next week at the Super Bowl in Houston, won't you join us when we go Beyond the Scoreboard?